Folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Now, I know that you guys are really focused on all this stuff that's going on in the news. I know it's just wall-to-wall news coverage of all these really important things that are happening on a daily basis, but it may be a shock to you. But there is more important things going on right now than, Whoopi Goldberg getting suspended for 2 weeks from her show, or Jen Psaki telling us every 5 minutes that Russia is on the verge of invading Ukraine. There's actually some really important things going on that I think they're doing a pretty good job of distracting everyone. They have to do it. They have to distract you from the important things because it gives their bosses, the elitists, the globalists, just a little bit longer to transfer some of your wealth over into their pockets. That's kind of their real big issue here, is they're just trying to milk it, get every little drop of blood out of it they can before everything just comes crashing down. And that's what's going on. $30 trillion, folks. National debt has gone up to $30 trillion. That announcement came yesterday that it finally broke that little 30 trillion threshold. That's a lot of money, folks. We're never going to be able to pay that back. Never. It's not a possibility. And this isn't even the unfunded debt. Okay, this is just what they let you know about. It said this just a week or so ago, that the trade deficit has topped $1 trillion for the first time. Trade deficit, $1 trillion. Today, some job numbers came out, and they don't look very good. The job market lost 310,000 jobs, 310,000 jobs. And while that's significant, what's even more significant is the projection is that it would increase by 200,000. So instead of going up 200,000, they fell back 300,000. So really, that's about a 500,000 loss. That's significant. And the reason why that's significant is it shows that people just aren't working. It's not that there's no jobs, it's that just people aren't doing it. People are giving up. They're fed up. They're fed up with everything that's going on, and they're done. They're done playing around. They're done with all this stuff, and they're just kind of giving up. It's this kind of falls into this nihilism that's going on where there's just no morality. There's no care for anything. Back to that $30 trillion. I mentioned, I think, days ago or something, that the amount of money that we went in debt for the last year, and I think I said it was somewhere around 700 billion or almost $1 trillion. I have to admit to you that I was wrong. I actually went and looked up the numbers, and if you look on this chart, as of January of last year, our national debt set at $27.7 trillion. That's almost a $2.5 trillion increase in 1 year. $2.5 trillion in 1 year, folks. And you really think that everything's okay with the economy? You think that we're just going to pull out of this? You think that this inflation is just temporary and it's eventually going to come down? And that you think that this is really the greatest time in the American economy in history? That we're doing better than we've ever done? No, we're not. And people are starting to realize it. People are feeling it. They may not know these numbers or they may not fully understand these numbers, but people get it. And just the average person is feeling it. They know that something's going wrong. They look at the world around them. And it doesn't matter if they're on the left or the right. They see it. There's almost like this emotional depression that's falling over the nation and over the Western world because they see that things are starting to fall apart. Another good measure of this is the amount of people purchasing guns. That number came out again today. Well over 1 million guns, almost 1.5 million guns was purchased just last month, January. This is the 30th month in a row that Americans have purchased over 1 million guns a month. This is a number never seen before. I mean, people are buying guns left and right, and they're not all on the right that they're buying them. In fact, that's what the news media tries to spin it, that it's a bunch of crazy conservative patriot Trumpers that's purchasing guns and ammo, but that's actually not true at all. These articles here talk about how, well, the new push for gun ownership is from the left. They're buying them up a lot. They're buying them up. 40% of guns being sold nowadays in the last year or so are new purchases, new gun owner purchases. And out of those 40%, about half of them is women. There's a lot of minority groups purchasing guns, Black, Asian, Hispanic, LGBTQ, XYZ, or whatever they are. They're buying guns too. And so it's going to make that whole narrative hard to spin that it's only the conservatives buying guns, because everyone's buying guns right now. Why is that? Why is it that groups and people that used to be anti-gun, and maybe they still are anti-gun, but not for themselves, they're purchasing guns? Why? Because people are afraid. People sense that things are not working out. People sense that there's just something wrong. And I'd say most of the people that own guns fall into two classifications and two categories. One are the folks that are kind of like you and I. We know that this is a big collapse and we need to have something to defend ourselves and get ready because the bad times are coming. The other people may not see that far into the future. The other people just see that crime is on the rise everywhere. Crime, homicides, record homicide year, crimes in virtually every city and every part of the country has gone up. In fact, this article says that we don't really have a crime problem, we have a violence problem. And why is that? Why do we have a violence problem? We have a violence problem in part because our society is collapsing. That's why all these people are buying guns. They may not think that. They may not think that when they're going in there and purchasing that firearm for the first time in their life and going out and shooting it and realizing that they aren't really all that scary and unnecessary. They're really great for personal defense. They may not be thinking that they're doing it because the world is collapsing around them, but that is what's going on. It's not just me that says that. There's been a lot of research done on that. And what we're watching with the economy, with the moral degradation, with this thing that people just don't care anymore. They don't care their religion, morals, family values, traditional values. None of that matters anymore. And what we're doing is we're falling into a societal collapse. It's cyclical. I talk about this quite often. In fact, this author here, he's an author, an anthropologist, Joseph Tainter. He writes about this. And one of the things that he writes about and says is that societies collapse once they become very complex. In fact, they collapse under the weight of their own complexity. And that's what's happening right now. There's the diminishing returns upon our nation. People are putting energy in it. They're putting money into it, tax money, and yet the returns are diminishing constantly. And the reason is because we're becoming so massive, so big, so complex that the society itself cannot handle the amount of complexity and the amount of bureaucracy. And this isn't just an American thing, this is really a Western world thing, because nations are now so interconnected with each other. We live in a globalist society. I mean, there's just no other way to put it anymore. And so as we watch this happen, we are also watching the collapse of our society. I mean, can you think of a point in history that any government and any society is more complex than it is now, that has much any bigger bureaucracy than we have now? There's bureaucracy everywhere. Everything you touch, see, use, anything has some kind of tax or regulation or control over it by the government. Everything. I challenge you to name me something that's not, because you can't come up with it. This is the world that we live in, and this is the collapse that we're living in, and people are starting to feel it. They see the money losing value. They see the prices of everything going up. They see the shelves becoming less and less full. They see the more open and audacious lying from the politicians and the corruption. This stuff has always happened, but now it's happening so easy and out in the open, and they do it just almost to kind of rub it in your face anymore, because they know they can get away with it and there's nothing you can do about it. People are realizing that. People are seeing the whole fakeness and the whole ridiculousness of the thing that's been going on. And it's all going to come crashing down at some point. Will it be in my lifetime? Possibly not. It may be later on. But I think it's going to happen at least enough in our lifetime that we're going to see much more severity in the world that we live in. And so, folks, you've got to get ready. I mean, I know most of you are. You're doing a really good job of it. I hear it all the time. But all of this stuff is connected. It is all connected. The economy, the gun purchases, the lack of morality, and just the moral degradation of our society, the lack of family values, and how people just no longer care about family, and they don't care about each other because they're in this all the time. And then this is going to very quickly become this virtual reality metaverse. And so then at that point, reality won't even mean anything, because you'll just create whatever your reality is. And at that point, what is the point of there being a society? There won't be, and that's when it will start collapsing. That's what we're watching, folks, and that's what we're getting ready for. It's biblical as far as I'm concerned, and it's certainly historical. Virtually every major complex society throughout history at some point reaches their pinnacle, and they cannot sustain themselves any longer, and they collapse. And that's what we're watching happen right now. So folks, get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you all for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.